guys, this is Captain Fool reporting for duty for the top, bottom, and 3 comics of the week for November 8th, 2022. So sit back and enjoy the show. All right, all of you people, wonderful, excellent people here joining me today. If you're not familiar with the show, I take the comics that I read and I give you my opinions on the top 3, the bottom 3, and all the ones in between with a very short review for each one. And if I didn't read it, don't be offended. Let me know. Maybe I'm missing something that I should, because you know there's only so many hours in a day and only so many dollars in a wallet. So with that said, let's jump right into my picks. I'm going to start today with the top. You're going to hear my pages. Also, just so you know, my grading scale is 7 is average, you know, for like a 70%. 10 would be a must have, cannot be better, and of course any below 70 is less than average, so it makes a lot of sense. So let's go with my top 3. My number 3 pick was Ghost Rider number 8 with the 7.4. Once again, that's Ghost Rider number 8. I think the art has been absolutely solid in this. By the way, hear my pages rattle. The whole series has been solid so far. It's an interesting story, and I really think it's an interesting pairing with Ghost Rider. This series continues to be good. So I like the characters in this that we're getting. I enjoy the story, and I've been enjoying the art. Once again, 7.4. If you have not been reading this Ghost Rider and you're a Ghost Rider fan, you're missing out. Heck, even if you're not a Ghost Rider fan, you might want to be checking this out too. It has been a wild ride. Get it? Ride Ghost Rider. All right, here we go. My number 2 is Captain America Sentinel of Liberty number 6 with a 7.5. I was actually quite astonished at this myself. Some people might go, of course, it's Captain America, you love that. But if you've noticed, I haven't been giving Captain America great reviews over the last few years because it hasn't been that good. Whereas this one I really did like. Once again, 7.5. I thought it was an action-filled issue, and it has Captain America, Steve Rogers versus Bucky. And I think you can tell in this that Steve really wasn't giving it his all. I mean, he cares for Bucky. He didn't want to hurt Bucky. He wants to stop him. But, you know, how far are you willing to go to stop somebody? Do you have to hurt them? And this was definitely evident in this comic. It was still a good fight. And my question would be, what will happen next? This is interesting. Now we see where Bucky is on the inside of this elite group. We're going to see what happens and what Steve's going to do next and moving on. Once again, 7.5. Good art, good story. I'm enjoying Captain America Sentinel of Liberty so far, which is making me happy because I was really fearful of this at first. All right. Are you ready for my number 1? My number 1 is The Amazing Spider-Man number 13. I gave this book an 8 out of 10. I know this is a little controversial. Not everybody's liking this. I think this issue has good pacing. This series has had pretty good pacing all the way through, and the art is good. I'm not a big fan of this artist, I know, which gives me a lot of, some butt hurt here from people. But I always like this artist on Spider-Man. For some reason, I don't care for him on other stuff, but I like him on Spider-Man. And it's an interesting story twist at the end. I'm not going to spoil it and give it away, but I do like the twist at the end. And there's a lot of action in this issue. So once again, 8 out of 10. I've really been enjoying this arc of Amazing Spider-Man. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I want to just take a moment and say thank you to these people right here. Without these people, this channel would not be possible. They help contribute to Subscribe Star, as well as my Patreon, so there's 2 options there. All right, moving on. We're gonna hit the middle of the pack. Yeah, the middle. This one takes me a little longer because I gotta check off what I've done already, so I don't overdo one and say it twice. There we go. All right. Now we're gonna go for the middle of the pack. Are you ready for this one? These are the ones that didn't quite hit the bottom mark, but you know they were in between, plain and simple, just in between. So the first one I want to talk about is Batman vs. Robin number 3. I gave it a 7.35 out of 10. The gig is up. Alfred's gone. I think we all seen that at the end of last issue. It was a little bit of a heartbreaker. They did tie in Alfred and give a little goodbye there, which was sweet. But it was bittersweet, right? But it was interesting. It's interesting. That's all I can say. This fight And this issue could have been better though too. There was Batman is fighting the Bat family, and I'm going to say that maybe the Bat family isn't up to snuff because they're being controlled. That's the reason, because otherwise the fights weren't that great and could have been a lot better. But once again, I'm saying they're fighting against their control, and that's why. So that I'm giving them that as an scapegoat. I'm not a big fan of this story arc in general. I like my Batman a little more grounded, but you know what? It is what it is, and it's not terrible. All right, the next one was Spider-Man: The Last Hunt, #1. This one I gave a 7.3 out of 10. DeMatteis is back writing Spider-Man again. It has a cool cover. Spider-Man's under attack and has no idea who is behind it. This mental attack is really getting him. It's an interesting premise. I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes next. So once again, that's Spider-Man: The Last Hunt, #1 with a 7.3. And yes, you still hear my pages rattling throughout. All right, the next one I want to talk about is Moon Knight #17. I've enjoyed Moon Knight this whole run so far. I gave this issue a 7.38 out of 10. Moon Knight continues to be an interesting read. It just, every issue seems to be good. Not always hitting the top 3, but consistently good. And that's a nice thing to say. It's nice that we get more Tigra as well. We don't get to see Tigra much in the Marvel Universe, and we get her in this series. And it's an interesting art style. It's not my favorite art style, but for some reason I think it works for this series, and it has a good pacing for this story. So overall, I'm enjoying it. All right, the next one, Fantastic Four #1. Now that Slot's off the book, 7.02 out of 10. I am not a Slot fan. I know that, and it's because I don't like his style of reading. I'm going to admit I don't care for him as a person. Okay, but I try my best not to let that bias get me. I try my best. I'm not going to say I'm perfect there, but I tend to find that he writes jokes that don't land enough. They're too time sensitive, so the books won't last the test of time. He's a big picture guy with great big picture ideas, but he fails always in the landing as well as the execution. He tends to manipulate and change the characters to mold them to the story rather than writing with the characters in character to fit the story. And that's where he tends to fail. So anyway, this Fantastic Four, though, has a new creative team. It has a cool cover. It's a cute story with some decent art. I won't say it's a must-read issue, but it is a cute story, and if you're a fan of The Thing, this might be a good one for you. So once again, I give that 7.02 out of 10. The next one is The Avengers #62. I gave it a 7.03 out of 10. It has solid art, decent story, but I'm still not a fan of this whole retcon of going back in the Avengers history and having all these historical versions of the Avengers, because what it does is it dilutes the Avengers. Why do we like these characters? They stand out. There's something unique. There's something special about them that we like. Whereas if we make zillions of versions of them, for most cases, it doesn't work. Now, yeah, it'll work in something like Green Lantern because it's a core. It works maybe something like Iron Fist because it's a historical thing passed down and down. Heck, it even works in some regards in The Flash, with The Flash, because it's a family concept. But we're really diluting the pool here, and I think it does more harm than good. And I will say, the story after this one, after Avengers 62, says it continues in Avengers Assemble Alpha #1. So it's a 7.03. I'm not saying it's terrible. I'm just saying it's not quite where I want it to be. All right, I believe that leaves me with my bottom 3. Let me double check my notes here. Dun, dun, dun. Yep. Okay, here we go. My bottom 3. But you know what? Before I get to the bottom 3, as I mentioned earlier, thank you to those. If you want to help if you want to help out the channel, we do have a subscribe star. It's a great way to help. We also have a Patreon available too. I prefer if you subscribe star first over Patreon, because I don't have enough people there to get any of the payouts, so the money just sits there and I'll never get it until I have a few more people there. But you can also like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. It's a really great way to help. Anybody that does support the channel and join the channel, you get lots of perks. You get special videos, special backing tracks that you can use for your videos, or just music to listen to in general. You get videos that only you get. You get ones that I delist that maybe I'll put on there so only people that missed it live can see it there. As well as I've been doing something, I've got a lot of products for my side business, my resale business, that helps support my goal to hopefully be able to retire one day. And anyway, with that, I'm going to give people there super discounts, and I mean unbelievable discounts. If you have anything there you want, let me know. You're going to get it at an amazingly good deal. I mean, you cannot beat it anywhere else, guaranteed by far. And there's a picture of a lot of the products in there that I have currently right now. All right, with that said, and the shilling over, let's go to my bottom three. Here we go. My number three at the bottom was Black Panther Unconquered, number one. Now, don't get too mad. I gave it a 7.01. I think it has a great cover art. I like that. It's a setup one shot that will lead to some more potentially interesting stories. So it was okay. 7.01. That's the whole thing. It was just okay. Nothing's like, oh my goodness, this is so good and revolutionary, I must continue. But it was good. And I know these are the bottom, so it wasn't a terrible week. My number two was Spider-Man Edge of the Spider-Verse, number two. And I gave it a 7. So before you go again on me, you just don't like Dan Slott, I did give this a 7. It has great art. I love Bagley art. I do. I always find his art good. Once again, though, Slott butchers a character for the story. The Moreland character is no longer a threat. They make him a comical joke here in a way. I mean, before he was supposed to be all powerful, and granted, I understand, but this is a Slott trope. If you know, Slott loves to put in a new villain, and he's just ultimate powerful, and he shows it by whooping somebody else that was really powerful. And one of the reasons I don't like this is Dan Slott likes to take a new character, and then he uses a pre-existing character that was known to be pretty tough, and in order to sell his new character, he knocks down that other powerful character to show how big and bad this character really is. And it's just something he continues to do. It's a poor trope. Why do we have to knock down a character to show another one's good? There's other ways to do it, but he tends to hit this well over and over again. So didn't care for it much. It's got his lazy humor that fails to hit. Yeah, sadly, it fails to hit more than it does hit. Once again, because he tries to go too much based on the current time to be cool for the time, but then those books will never stand the test of time. So it looks like, the normal Slott writing and humor form from him that I see there, to me anyway. And maybe you think differently, go ahead and let me know. But I did give it a 7. It wasn't terrible, so I gave it a 7. And so there we go to my last one, the bottom of the bin, which is Venom number 3. Venom has been continuously disappointing me. I found it gave it a 6.8. It has decent art, but the art just never seems quite there. The story is moving very slowly, and this issue very slowly on top of that, and I just didn't enjoy it. I didn't find this a fun issue at all. It didn't go where I needed to. Sorry, my mic's getting a little goofy. I think I got an update that just popped up, and that's screwing up my recording a little bit, so I apologize for if the audio got a little weird. I can't quite tell. Alright guys, well that's my top and bottom 3. I want to thank everybody for sticking this out. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Until next time, keep it frugal.